Joined right now by Sumit. Sumit, thanks for speaking to NewsX. And of course, what is the number one hit that India is going to take in wake of the 50% tariffs that have now been imposed?
Meghaji, thank you very much for having me on your show unusual. Well, to begin with, when I look at the tariffs, yeah, if you do the mathematics broadly, we are talking of a hit of around $40 billion plus minus. But the number one sector which is going to be hit is textiles, because that is the maximum part of our out of those $44 billion which goes to US. Then we'll have a bit of shrimps, and we'll have a bit of diamonds and all, and jewelry, some handicrafts which will be hit definitely. But when you do the mathematics right now, the government of India, I think a couple of hours back, announced an initiative where we have identified 40 markets, and where we are going to go to them 40 markets and try to reposition our textiles there. The cumulative import potential of these 40 markets is $854 billion. $854 billion, and our total exports of garment or textile or whichever form is around $35 to $37 billion. So if you look at $854 billion versus the 35, 37 what we have on the target, that's the total. I mean, we don't export everything like America, that's the total. We are doing around 4.5% of the market share. So I think very soon we have to, tweak our things, or tweak our sizes. We might have to tweak a cotton mix and a polyester mix and things like that, whichever people can do pretty fast. And if that works, we should be able to do it. Australia is one of the biggest importers of the cloth. Australia, UK, France, and Germany, they form the biggest kitty of this $850 billion market. So I think what will happen is we'll diversify our things. But I'll give you an example. If you look at our petroleum products today, there's a lot of misconceptions around it. Look, we import 34% from Russia. Another 19% comes from Saudi, Iran. Then another 12-13% comes from Saudis. Then another 7-8% from UAE, 4% from America. Then everybody else is 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.5, 1 and 2. That's how the things are broken. So if you take out minus 3-4 major partners, then there are all small partners. Likewise, it was the export of garments. The major chunk was going to America. We never bothered to look at the markets around us. Now, as that market closes, we'll keep on looking at the markets around us. Now let's talk about number 2, shrimps. Shrimps, we are the second biggest producer in the world. If America doesn't buy from us, they will buy from somebody else. And where, again, shrimps cannot be made in a factory. So whoever his buyers are, they will automatically come to us. Only the one which will take a bit of a time to settle is this diamonds and diamonds and gems and all that, which will take a bit of a time to settle. But I think with performance-linked incentives and some of the aggressive government policies, which can be even duty drawbacks and things like that, we should be able to survive the tide. And let me remind you, ma'am, Honorable Prime Minister 2 days back in a conclave, on a news channel's conclave, he said that, look, reduced GST prices with a very good Diwali season, we should be able to weather the storm, because at the end of the day, the number which is there is 0.1% of our GDP. A good Diwali season with a reduced GDP and more money in the people's hands will overall balance the numbers. It might not balance the sector, but it will overall balance the numbers. So that's the good news, and we will find markets. Necessity is the mother of evolution. We'll find our markets. It will take a couple of months of hard time, but we'll be able to sail through.
More geography. It's also interesting to note that while there are 50% tariffs that have been imposed on a large number of industries and sectors that are exporters to the American market, 3 essential sectors, which are also the biggest sectors, which is iPhone, which is pharmaceuticals, and which is oil and gas, have been exempted from these taxes. This is very convenient for America as well. And it works out for India, because we at this point of time are very dependent on America, with whom we have the largest amount of trade happening, especially on these 3 big sectors.
Meghaji, when you bifurcate it, look, how does it look like? America needs iPhones manufactured in India, because you cannot manufacture any of them here in this price. We are the pharmaceutical king of the world. We sell medicines to 203 countries. America, we have the 30% of the market share, and in generic medicines, we are number 1. Now, the third part is this, this automobile parts and all. Again, they need it from India. Now, if you look at that is a good service. But if you look at the services side, our services export to America is $150 billion, which is these IT services, these consulting services, which are not in this gamut. So overall, if you look at the trade and all, kind of the trade of trade will work. These sectors are important for America. And by the way, I mean, what Dr. Jaishankar rightly said, nobody's putting a gun to your head to buy our oil. If we buy the Russian crude, we refine it. Why are you buying from us? Why is Europe buying from us? I mean, here, I will tell you the American hypocrisy. when they put sanctions on Russia, they didn't put sanctions on LNG because LNG was coming from Europe. And I'll give you a very interesting number which will expose a whole myth about this so-called oil game what America and Donald Trump is playing. Ma'am, from the Ukraine war to last month, July end, the total amount of money which has gone into Russia for all energy exports is $927 billion. India gave $121 billion in total, energy, coal, oil, whatever you want to count it. The number one person who gave them the maximum money is China, $200 billion. European Union comes number fourth. Number third comes Tayyip Erdogan, who has bought 26% of the all oil products from America. Now, products have gone to Japan, products have gone to Brazil, projects have gone to, even to Europe and all. G7 shipping lines were used to transport these products. And if you do the number overall, my country's 121 vis-a-vis 927 is how much? Is 13%. So why only in the world a country which contributed 30% to the Russian wartime revenues, so called it, were penalized and the 87% who all contributed were let go? Why you have not imposed these conditions on especially China, Turkey, because Turkey is also a NATO member, on Japan, on Brazil, on the European Union? They are the major buyers. Their contributions are much higher than us. If this is not hypocrisy, if this is not personal agenda at work, if this is not vendetta at work, what else is? There's no logic to it.
Yeah.
It's simply plain vendetta.
So what are the prospects here for India, and would that be a wise move for India to shift its supply chains, shift its export markets, particularly for pharmaceutical, particularly for iPhone from America to other alternative markets? Do you think that's a viable option, and will this lead to a massive hit to the American economy?
I think, if you look at the American numbers which are out, I'm quoting you the American media. If I don't know, should I take the name of publications or not? They are your competitors in a way. One of the major if you allow me, I can take the names. That's not a problem. One of the major American publications said that American GDP will contract by 6%. $12,000 and going on, every household income will be brought down because of this. There's one very big Bank of America, again, that's not your competitor, can take the name. They said that if the things continue like this, you will lose $42 to $72 trillion, which will move out of the American economy. Look, there was a stock exchange shock which happened around a week or 2 days back, 2 weeks back. One single day, $1.1 trillion of stock exchange fall in America. And if I look at 48 hours back, the purchasing power of the Americans has fallen by $340 already, because there's a 2.3% fall in the purchase power. The inflation is rising. The repo rate, which is being talked out, may be cut out. So there's a gun-go stock market. But the moment it is cut down, you will see stock market again falling. So the America is already feeling the pressures. And let me take you back, Meghaji, to 1930, when America tried a similar trick with Smoot-Harvey Act, where they increased the import duties. What happened after that? The world responded. Within 4 years, they hit the Great American Depression because the GDP contracted by 65%. I mean, that is, and exactly Trump is trying to replicate the same model. There are enough videos on WhatsApp groups, on social media, which are saying boycott American products. I didn't make them, but there are people circulating them around the whole world. And people are now getting very, very cautious and careful. If you have to buy a brand of chips, you may prefer an Uncle chips over a Lay's. I mean, that is what is happening. I can see it happening around me, and people are getting cautious.
Fair enough.